Back on Memorial Day weekend, we featured a story on Bob Stoops, a World War II veteran of D-Day. Well, this week, in the second part of their conversation, Steve Kiltonick speaks with Stoops about his newfound ministry he discovered in his 90s. It's something that not only gives him comfort, but also has touched the lives of others.
In a previous segment, World War II veteran Bob Stoops of Attleboro spoke about his military experience serving with the U.S. Coast Guard. Stoops had just returned from the war and was settling down in Chicago with his wife, Marilyn. Looking for work, he took up an offer from an uncle in Indianapolis.
When he came to visit me in Chicago, he asked if I'd like to go to work in the jewelry business. Well, that sounded so interesting to me. I said, yeah, I'd love to.
Stoops' first job was as a die cutter with the Herff Jones Company, which manufactured scholastic jewelry and awards. After 3 years, Stoops got a job in Chicago sculpting jewelry with Jostens. In 1970, they moved to Attleboro, where he and Marilyn bought a home and raised their 5 children. A man of strong faith, Stoops was a regular communicant of St. John the Evangelist Church, where he was an usher, joined the Knights of Columbus, and received the Marion Award. In 2009, he lost his beloved wife.
It was such a shock to lose her after 65 years of marriage. And I found myself wanting to get closer to her.
Stoops retreated to the National Shrine of Our Lady of La Salette, just down the road from his house. The shrine is part of a 200-acre campus that includes an outdoor chapel, Station of the Cross, a conference center, and various gardens.
I spent a lot of time over at La Salette, talking to Christ, and then talking to Marilyn, and something about that atmosphere on rare occasions brought visions, artistic visions to me. And to capture them and not lose them, I used my jewelry experience of sculpting.
About 5 years ago, Stoops felt inspired to craft jewelry into religious faith emblems.
They all came in quiet periods, somewhere, somehow. And this particular one of Christ, it was the very first one, came when I was early morning in bed, head back, and just came out of nowhere. And I saw this picture of Christ with his arms in a crucified position. I wanted to have that emblem tell me how difficult it must have been for him to be nailed to a piece of wood.
Stoops' second emblem came to him while he was sitting in his car waiting for the light to change.
What a pleasant time to talk to God for a minute or two, a little conversation, And I said, I wonder how I could do that for anybody else who had the same thoughts that I did. I said, I'm going to make a stoplight.
About a year ago, Stoops was walking on a fall day at the shrine under a canopy of oak leaves.
And I love the shape of them. I just said they just look so gentle and magnificent. And I said that'd be a good thing to have an emblem of how they come into this world in the spring with a mission that God gave them, and in the fall they leave.
At his home, Stoops explained the steps involved in creating the emblems. He first draws a rough sketch of each emblem for a friend, Peter Birch, who refines it more with a computer-generated CAD/CAM program. Stoops hires a caster to create the 3 rubber molds from which each emblem is produced, and then engages the services of an electroplater. He sprays the raw product with gold enamel spray. The Christ emblem is already gold-plated. After drying, Stoops gives the emblems an antique look with burnt umber paint. He puts a lacquer over each emblem. With the stoplight, he adheres the rhinestones with an adhesive. Initially, Stoops created the emblems for his own personal use and prayer until...
Well, I think my children encouraged me to a degree once they saw them. They said, gee, Dad, why don't you make a few of these,
Bob comes to the shrine on a daily basis. It's a place of solitude where he interacts with the visitors, listens to their stories, and if inspired, leaves them with one of his emblems.
There was a place where I sat, which was near a statue of Mother Mary. And there was a bench there. And I would sit there and talk to my wife, Marilyn, spiritually. And these people would almost like magnetically would come up there and look at that statue as I did. And in the process, we'd say hello. I would ask them if I could give them an emblem. And I'd go in the car and get it, bring it back to them, and they'd thank me, and I'd never see them again. But it felt good. It felt good.
He once gave an emblem to a stranger, Bill.
And I handed it to him like that, and he opened it up, and he started to cry. I couldn't believe it. He started to cry. And I've never seen him since.
The emblems are packaged in cards with spiritual phrases. Stoops has also given them out at nursing homes, supermarkets, and his church to an estimated 500 people. Stoops' son, Bob Jr., a parishioner at St. Mary in Westfield, has distributed the emblems at his Bible study class, his CCD class, as well as to graduates-to-be from the high school.
He's had a lot of positive reinforcement. He's had people contact him and thank him. He's had people take him out to lunch thanking him. And I know he's had impacts where people kind of changed on the spot.
Bob and his siblings have also noticed something different about their father as well.
We saw a significant change. Less depression and more of an outlook, a positive outlook.
Bob wrote a letter to Pope Francis explaining how his father's emblems have impacted the lives of others. The emblems were sent as a gift.
We did receive a reply from his chief of staff and indicated that he did receive the emblems and he blessed my father's ministry. And so that was awesome.
Bob's proud of his father, who, he said, at age 96 has a second wind in life, and in the process is bringing a lot of good into the world.
As long as I can stay alive and I can manage what time I have on this earth, I'm going to keep it useful, yeah.
This World War II veteran, who has discovered a renewed faith with a ministry he can truly call his own. For Real to Real, I'm Steve Kiltonick.
Bob Stoops sure is proof that you're never too old to start something new in your life.